welcome. Thank you for joining us here on the Barcelona campus. My name is Ursi van der Herten, and I'm responsible for recruiting students from the African continent. And today I'm going to be talking to Shaun Gause. Shaun is an alum of our Georgetown Esade Executive MBA program, and Shaun is currently based in Washington, where he is a chairman of the global group. Welcome, Shaun. It's really great seeing you again here on campus after 10 years.
After 10 years, yes.
How have you been?
Great, Ursi. Thank you. It really is. It's a pleasure to see you again after all of this time, and also just to be back on campus. It really has been a long time, an entire decade. I got to tell you, I'm so glad that you contacted me about this, because I have to commend you on what you're doing in Africa. The focus, the attention that you're putting on Africa, it tells me that you recognize that the continent has talent, and that Esade wants to tap into that talent. So congratulations for you.
I'm quite excited about it too. And in fact, I mean, the objective, why I started this, first of all, because I really want to put our students and alumni from the African continent in the spotlight.
Yes.
And hear more about what they are doing in Africa. And then also secondly, sharing their experiences with possible candidates.
Yes.
It's very interesting for those candidates that are thinking of joining Esade and that are based on the African continent, right? And then, there's also, of course, a third objective, and that is mainly positioning Esade on the African continent.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, I mean, but going back to you.
Sure.
My first question for you would be one of my favorite ones. Why did you choose Esade, and would you do it over again if you could?
Wow. So let me answer the latter first. 100% yes, I would do it over again. The reason I chose Esade, the Georgetown Esade Executive MBA, is because I'm not sure if you recall, but it was at that time that my company was launching in West Africa. And I needed to get a more global perspective on launching in emerging markets. So when I looked into various programs and I found the Georgetown Esade program, it lined up with really what I needed for my company. So, that's why I chose the program. I had no idea what I was getting into and how much I would take away from it. So it's been phenomenal for me, but that's really why I chose the Georgetown Esade program.
And can you share a little bit more about your experience in the program? In the program in Barcelona, in Esade?
How much time do we have? It was absolutely phenomenal. Let me try and delineate this. So, starting with my cohort, my classmates, I mean, we were a group of 29 from literally all over the world, from South America to Africa, West and East, to Central Africa. Of course, we had American students. It's just, we had so much diversity in that group of 29. And it taught me a lot, because coming with different perspectives, from their experiences and their take from their regions of the world, it just really opened my mind. Secondly, it was the classes. When I think about some of my favorite classes, corporate and competitive strategy, founding a firm in emerging markets, marketing for global executives. One of my very, very favorites was business, politics, and the international economy. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I think about those classes and really what they mean or what they meant at that time in real life to me, I could not have asked for a better education. Thirdly, the professors. We'll start here at Esade. Pedro Parada, Javier Mir, Joseph Frank, gosh, it goes on. I mean, it's just a ton of people who are leaders in their field, but the passion that they showed when they were in class every day, I mean, it really excited us as the students. So, those were three reasons. And lastly, I would round it up by saying the administration. You all were so welcoming and helpful for us coming in from all over the world to ensure that not only were we getting a premier education, but we received that Spanish hospitality. So, that was my experience. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Right, that's good to hear. Now, one of the main objectives of our students for doing an MBA program is enhancing their career, right?
Yes.
And can you tell us how you applied the knowledge in your career?
Absolutely. So at the time, my company again was launching in West Africa, and the lessons, both from a theoretical perspective and from a practical perspective with my cohort, with my professors, it just aligned with the different phases that my company was going through as we began our work in Sierra Leone. But let me try and put it in these terms. So again, looking back at the classes and the practical knowledge that I got from them, and also the experience, because we had a capstone project that we did in India, and it was, at the time, there was this right to education, and they were looking at e-readers and things like that. So it immersed me in this developing nation, and we had to come up with a plan to launch a new product to the masses in India, of all places. So we had on my team, it was Americans, it was Brazilian, and we had various backgrounds, but we all came together and learned the economy, learned the culture, and we had this tool, this product that we had to figure out how can this fit into this society. So those practical lessons that I learned coming through the program is really what the different stages that my company was going through, and quite honestly, it guided us through the maze of launching in a emerging market.
And what were the challenges?
Wow. So you know what, I won't say the challenges really were from the country. Obviously there were some challenges, but I think it was more for us going into the country, because we came with a Western mindset. And while that's good on the one hand, because there are things that we can offer, we also needed to learn from the local culture. And I didn't realize that initially I didn't look at that aspect as closely as I should. But that was a huge lesson, more so than any of the business that we were doing and anything like that. The foundation was really, it rested on the culture. Once we understood that piece and understood how things worked, then the business was able to move through the maze.
Yeah, and I think, Africa does have a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities too, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's really amazing when I talk to candidates. They're eager to come and learn, and to learn from other peers in their class,
Yes.
from different like an amazing diversity. But then at the end, go back to Africa, to their country, and then drive innovation, drive change,
Yes.
and be part of the future of Africa, right?
Yes.
So talking about future, how do you see your future and your connection with Africa?
Oh, it's forever. To your point of students coming here and leaving their respective countries, and in some cases these maybe it could be even a village. I relate because I grew up in small town Michigan. And, this whole big world that was out here, just my environment didn't really support that, didn't acknowledge that. We were very comfortable in our little world. But, having the ability to step outside of that made me realize that this whole big world, so I'm born and raised small town, but I'm a globalist at heart, because I've realized that different aspects, different cultures, different perspectives, when you put all of that together, it makes for a better whole. So for my future, I'll continue to use the skills that I've developed, and some learned here right at Esade, and try to use them in the most impactful and effective way. I'll continue to learn. I'm a lifelong learner, so I will take whatever new direction I go in and apply that to what I've already learned. And lastly, I think as an alum and as someone with interest in Africa, in understanding at least some portion of what that culture means, West African culture, I think the onus is on me to continue to bridge the gap. Currently, we don't have anything that we're working on in Africa, but the heart is always there, because not only am I connected to it, but the opportunities that are there, and it's not just one-sided. The opportunity is there for all involved if you understand how to operate and appreciate what is actually there. It doesn't come packaged the way we're used to in the Western world, but it's still a nice package. And we just have to learn how to appreciate that package. But I will continue to look at opportunities and find ways to support Africa, to help build Africa. And on the flip side, Africa actually helps build me, because some of the ingenuity and the tenacity, the vibrance that the continent has, that's something that I can learn from. But it's also important that, I've had this amazing experience with the program with Georgetown and Esade. I think probably most effective and most important is that we pass it on. So as you know, 10 years later, my son is now at Esade. So as a matter of fact, he's here now. Julien, would you like to come in?
Hi, Julien.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm sure your dad said a lot of exciting things about Esade, and I want to hear all about it. So.
Well, thank you for having me. So my name is Julien Gause. I'm a first-year student here at Esade University. And I'd just like to start, with back in 2011 when my father graduated from the GEMBA 3 program. And I didn't realize it back then, but since his every move can be traced back to the education he received here at this school. And all the great feats that he's accomplished are a product of his time here at Esade. And I just think of in 2013 when he moved our entire family to Sierra Leone, West Africa. I don't think he would have done that had he not come here and had his perspective change. And I thank him for that, because had I not gone and lived in Sierra Leone, West Africa, my perspective would not have been broadened, and I would not have realized to look outside of the United States for opportunity. So since we came back, I've been focused on business, following in his footsteps, and I've taken financial literacy classes all throughout my high school career. I set the goal to become a hedge fund manager. Okay. And actually, during my second year of high school, I made the first best decision of my life, and I transferred to Bullis Private School in Potomac, Maryland. And Bullis really curated my love for finance, alongside surrounding me with many brilliant minds, which encouraged further personal and academic growth. And my favorite experience there actually happened during my 4th year, where I participated in the signature entrepreneurship capstone, where I, alongside a group of 7 other students, created a company and participated in a $10,000 Shark Tank competition.
Yeah.
That was honestly mind-blowing. It was so fun, and it really cemented my drive to pursue a career in business. And then after
and with Bullis as well, Julien, there was a very diverse group of students there from Asia, from Africa. I know there was Ghana and another country from Africa.
There's really, the school is international. I'd like to think of it honestly as a smaller Esade now that I've come here. But speaking of Esade, after I graduated during my college application process, thanks to the guidance of my father, I realized that I should look outside of the United States, and that's how we found Esade. And that was the second best decision I've made so far. And just during the first day of classes, I realized at all the great things Esade has done for him, and that it would do the same for me, if not even more. And I really just can't wait for the experiences that this school has in store for me.
Great. So you started last week?
Yes.
And you have 4 years ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're very happy to have you here, and we are one big family. So we are I would say your second family now.
Yeah. That sounds great to me.
So you have a really exciting learning experience ahead of you. So yeah, we're very happy to have you here.
I'm even more happy to be here.
Great. Yeah. So we will see you around.
For sure.
So Shaun, I have one last question for you.
Sure, I see.
So what would be your advice as a recruitment strategy for Esade in Africa?
Wow. It's a great question. First I would say continue to do what you're doing because there are some brilliant minds on the continent. And the fact that you recognize that, we tend to, especially coming from the West, we tend to overlook what's in Africa because for whatever reason we just think it's not worth it. I can tell you from personal experience that is 100% incorrect. There is so much that Africa has to offer. There are so many brilliant minds. I mean, when you think about it, when I think about, living there and really getting to know the people, the culture, you want to talk about creativity and innovation? That's not the West. You go over there and you just have a seat and just watch life go around. And I promise you, you will see the most creativity, the most innovation anywhere. So one is just recognize that. And that leads to appreciation. And that leads to opportunity. So what I would recommend to Esade is continue to search for the best that Africa has to offer. And it's a mutual benefit because when a student has an opportunity to come to a school like Esade, I mean, Esade is, top in the world. But when a student can leave their country, their town, maybe even their small village, and have an opportunity to come to a place like Esade, and they're not here because, it's just something they're doing. They have a purpose for coming here. And that purpose usually is to get the best education that they can, the best skills that they can, and then take it back and build. So find those students, make the opportunities available. You will not regret it because the flip side is when students like that have the opportunity to develop here, when they're leading companies or even working for multinationals or whatever, it will benefit Esade because they will never forget the opportunity that Esade gave them, the education that Esade gave them. So I would encourage that. Continue to recognize, continue to seek it out. The other thing is what you're doing now. Reach out to alumni. You have alumni all over the world. Some are leading major companies. Some have their own companies. Some are focused in specific functional areas. These are all resources that wear the Esade brand. So tap into that network to help develop ways to make opportunities for the continent. Another opportunity, I think, is we have all these multinational companies. We have even governments. If you can help them recognize what this opportunity means. I know funding is always an issue with coming from developing nations, but there's a way. There is a way to get this done. So if you can tap into those resources, give a value proposition as to what this means for the country, what this means for the company, there will be a way for students to come here. And I guess lastly, for me in particular, again, is just to go back and to remember my journey through Esade. And I have a responsibility as well to help Esade attract these people, develop them, and help them to go out into the world and do great things. So, into Esade's motto, do good, do better, but do it in Africa.
I don't have anything to say after that. Well, thank you for the advice. And I know you have to jump on a plane back to DC today.
Yes, thank you.
So I would say thank you for being here. Have a safe flight.
I will.
And Julien, thank you too for sharing your experience. We're very happy to have you here. We're very proud. I'm sure we're going to be very proud of you.
Well, I can't wait to see what I can do after I receive this same Esade education that this man here has. Can't wait.
Good. All right. So, but I will see you around on campus for sure. Okay.
Thank you,
Ursi.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.